Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Tools and Techniques Thursday. Before I introduce our speaker for tonight, I'm just going to quickly go through some house rules with you. We are so glad that you have taken the time to join us. We know that this is after hours, so we really appreciate it. We just want to mention that during the session, which will be about 20-25 minutes, you might post your questions in the Q&A or in the chat, and then we will read them to the presenter. If we need clarification, then we will unmute you and give you the opportunity to talk. But once we declare that we're no longer taking questions, if you still have questions, you can email us, and I'll share the email address in a moment. And then we will forward it to the presenter to answer you directly. This presentation will be uploaded to the IIBA SA YouTube page, and we will share that address with you. Unfortunately, we do not send out the presentation deck. If you're interested in becoming a member of the IIBA South Africa, that website we will also share with you. It's IIBA.wildapricot.org. And then, of course, if you are so inspired after tonight that you would like to also be a presenter at one of our Tools and Techniques Thursday evenings, then you can also book your session, and we will share that. We will share all these websites and links also in the chat, just for your ease. And then, of course, don't forget to visit the IIBA South African's event page on Wild Apricot. In fact, our next event will be our Professional Development Day, which will take place this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So there is still time for you to register. Otherwise, you can just go there to see when we usually have the micro classes then on a Thursday evening. And then, of course, just a reminder that this event is organized by the Cape Town volunteers of the IIBA SA chapter. And our email address, if you would like, if you're in Cape Town and you want to get hold of us or from elsewhere in the country, it's capetown@southafrica.iiba.org. So we just want to take this opportunity to welcome Kotie Langenhoven, who's our speaker for tonight. Kotie, thank you so much for making yourself available. We really appreciate your time and the preparation that you've put in. Kotie works as a senior business analyst for the Sanlam Group across various projects from conceptual to implementation phases. She enjoys using her creative and analytical mind to solve complex problems and the mysteries of life in novel ways. Kotie's passion is to teach and coach both younger and older generations to help them find their purpose. She believes in lifelong learning and currently holds a diploma in accounting, a BCom in business management and industrial psychology from UNISA, and a postgraduate certificate in coaching. So you can see that Kotie really, the passion is just to continue learning and in a wide variety of fields. And I think we will gain a better understanding also of that tonight. So Kotie, we just thank you so much for your time this evening and welcome, and I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you, Marna. So let's just jump into this. So tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about being a polymath and basically what that means. And I think standing on the shoulders of Peter Hollins, that's written a very good book on polymath and what it is. So let's just see, what is a polymath? So a polymath is someone who is an expert in multiple fields. It may seem like an oversimplification, but that's the essence of it. But however, there it comes. The magic happens when multiple fields collide and help you navigate to solve problems and to think outside the box. There's quite a lot of very famous polymaths, and who are they? I mean, we talking about being a polymath, you're standing on big shoulders here. Benjamin Franklin, Leonardo da Vinci, René Descartes, more recently is Elon Musk, Plato, Isaac Newton, and a whole lot of others. My favorite thing, Polymath, is Archimedes, and guess why? Because he's the guy that jumped out of the bath naked, running down the street and shouting Eureka. So that is the polymaths that most of us are aware of and know what they've contributed to us and to the world. But they are also you and me. We are also polymaths. Did you know that? And I think in a way it's just about allowing yourself to be exactly that. There was this story about Einstein that he wasn't even the most cleverest in his class. He was actually quite just like a normal kid in school. So, but let's think about why is becoming a polymath important? So I got this very good paper on the fourth industrial revolution, and this is a leadership model, and it's a combination of all the different intelligences that just trying to figure out what are those things that's important for us, because we are basically into the fourth industrial revolution. It's not something that we just think about or just speculate about. We know that we're there. So, and if we look at all these different intelligences, surely there is a place to be a polymath. But then there's a whole debate. So it's a jack of all trades, and are you then a master of none? And this debate between generalists and specialists is ongoing, and it's fallen in and out of favor through history. So when you survey the most prominent and successful scientists, it's easy to see that the majority were decidedly generalists. So if we look at the requirements for the fourth industrial revolution and why it's important to become a polymath, then having all these different intelligences and way of thinking, then I think more and more our world requires a generalist. Being a polymath and creativity. Now we all quite regularly will go and you'll see what's the top skills, and you will see things like creativity, innovation, and all design thinking, and all of that requires a specific way of being. And what Robert Ruth Bernstein done is he written a paper already in 2009 that looked at data from the Nobel laureates for all disciplines, and he found a strong connection between creativity and being a polymath, and with that challenging the idea that specialization is required for success. So he didn't look at just one or two disciplines. He looked across to all disciplines, and he made the connection. So for us as business analysts, the big question tonight is, what is your shape? Now, there's a controversial thing I just want to say here is to say that being a generalist often means way less competition. It's an open field. So why do I say that? So if you look at a T-shape person, there's a whole book that was written, for a moment I can't remember the author's name. You can just pop it somewhere if you know what, remember. But he talks about a T-shaped person that says, you have a cross-discipline expertise and then a deep discipline expertise. And that make you a T-shaped person, and that's also a very desirable state to have. But what about a pie-shaped person? A person that have a general domain interest, and then maybe two deeper interests. Maybe as a polymath, that is more desirable. But the next challenge would be, what about being a comb shape? With each of those teeth represent the depth of knowledge in multiple realms. Those teeth can be different sizes, some longer because you have more expertise in that, some shorter, but in the end, having all those expertise then brings you to a point where you actually become more comb-like in multiple realms and domains. But what about this one? This is star-shaped. The specific combination of these realms is where the magic happens. So at one point, you just a star. You've got multiple disciplines under your belt, different level of expertise. The magic happens when you take these expertise and you don't use them in silos, but you actually start to combine them and start to use them together. But being a polymath requires a perceptive shift. Being a polymath does require something. It's rather than running as far as you can in a single race. You open your field of perception to take in as much as possible, and then draw a atypical connection to link the knowledge you already have in surprising ways. So you need to be probing and bold in thought. Ask unusual questions and put things together that are ordinarily separate, just to see what happens. A lot of times in our world, I think about myself and my role as a business analyst at work. But when I go into my social settings or in helping our society with things, it's like we actually forget that we've got a lot of knowledge and expertise that we can link to that area as well. So, and that is where the magic happens. So this is when you allow yourself to make this perspective shift. A polymath, the skills for a polymath is all about being skillful at learning itself. Not just one type of problem or one type of a solution, but learning, the actual skill of learning. Polymaths can blend and cross-pollinate ideas, methods, and solutions from all across mankind's rich tapestry, which often allow them to come with game-changing big ideas. The big breakthrough for business started to happen now in our domain with Agile, where the engineering methods that was used in IT is now becoming more available or being entertained with in business. To also say we have an Agile manifesto for business. Those are the type of examples where the different areas give themselves permission to actually cross-pollinate ideas and to blend methods and solutions. When referring to a polymath, and this is important, that we refer to a person who have not just earned competencies in different areas, but who manages to creatively integrate those abilities. And the sum is inevitably greater than the parts. So if you start, if you build up as a polymath, the magic is the creative integration of those abilities, and not keeping them in their separate domains. It's allowing yourself and giving yourself permission to dabble in the different areas together. And that's why the picture with the paint that mix really caught me for this one. The polymatic mind has a very specific stance. It's adaptable and open. It's experimental. It's a beginner mindset. You believe in what you do and you're relentless, because this is hard work. Being a polymath means you need to keep yourself humble, stay a beginner, and learn and adapt and be open for feedback, and just to keep on going. But I think for me, a very important point is to really believe in what you're doing, and believe that whatever you are busy with will contribute to the whole, and not just to a single area or a domain. To become there's 10 steps to from becoming a novice to expert. So we said a polymath needs to be skilled in learning, the process of learning itself. And this 10-step process is a very good process to actually look at and to say, this is how I, as a polymath, can structure my learning, so that when I decide to go on a specific learning journey, that I can structure it. We have a limited amount of time and we want to get the best out of it. So Hollins has provided 10 steps, and what is interesting and what I like about these 10 steps is it ends with teaching. And in the teaching moment is the place where you actually reach out to other people and you start to also contribute to their thinking and to their thoughts. So Einstein talked about a word which he called combinational replay. So as a polymath, you do intentional discovery. So you are always aware of what it is that I'm learning. This is how I'm learning it. This is my 10 steps. This is where in my 10 steps I am. I put some time frames against that. But then Einstein, he's done a lot of research, but he had a way of, when he steps away from his research, he will go and he will play the violin. He could also play piano. But according to how the history goes, he was playing the violin when he got the idea for EMC square, which changed the world. So, and he's written a letter to one of his colleagues, and he said there's just something unconsciously happening whenever he put something soft, like playing music, against something hard that's like thinking, then that's where the magic happens. So what we're talking about here is we're not talking just about hard skills. We're also talking about soft skills. We're talking about art and music. We're talking about a very broad domain. Then skill stacking. With skill stacking, when you are specializing, you try to be in the top 1% to be able to really shine. But what being a polymath and doing a skill stacking helps you with is that you can become good in something in the top 5 to 15% and become that in a few domains. And by combining that, you can actually then become a very valuable resource. Scott Adams, that's drawing Dilbert. I put a little comic strip there, Dilbert. Now, what he's done is he's used his business knowledge and business skills. He took his humor and a little bit of a drawing skill that he have there. Dilbert doesn't even have a mouth, you can see, but I mean, he's really changed the world with and give us good laughs drawing those pictures. And that is a very good example of how you then use multiple skills and to provide, to give something back to the world. Then also stack strategically, that is important. So being a polymath and being and building your expertise is intentional. It's intentional discovery. There's a process to make it effective, but it's also strategic. So I got this picture from a modern analyst, and I love this picture because it's actually showing the different roads that a business analyst can take. And I also like the fact that it looks like a star, because didn't I say in the beginning that we are BA stars? We are really, we become star-like persons by who we are. All we need to do is, where this picture shows us the career roadmaps, is don't just look at that in a silo, but also add the soft, the unexpected, and your own uniqueness to this picture. We all want to build nice careers, and it's really great to feel that you're adding value to your company and to your colleagues and to the different domains that you're working in. So the challenge for us as star BAs is then to open our perspective around what we're doing and becoming polymaths. There's a few lessons here. The first lesson is you need to diversify. The magic happened, in fact, that these noteworthy individuals always have several projects on the go. If you focus on single things, your brain is busy with one path, and the noteworthy things happens when the different neurons fire and it makes new neural pathways, and that is where ideation takes place. Lesson number 2 is be fearless. It can seem like this kind of person, this is now a polymath, flitted happily from task to task, racking up achievements with ease while others stood by in awe and applauded. Now, flitted is really a word. I had a moment with Marna where we kind of said, okay, but what does flitted mean? So it's like a butterfly going from one plant to another, you know, not like, and not seeming to really do something. And this is how it might seem like, and it also seemed like it's very easy and others just stood by. But the more unglamorous truth is that polymaths are often loners. They work quietly by themselves, despite sometimes extreme resistance and interference from the rest of the world. When people see your journey, and I speak from experience, they say, but what do you really want from life? You look like you're flitting around, you know, just here and there. But if you are a polymath and you understand your intentional discovery, you know that there's a uniqueness to your journey and you need to celebrate that. Lesson number 3 is to seek authenticity. The courage that you need to be truly yourself. This is sometimes hard to do because people, you know, will criticize and they won't understand, and you sometimes yourself start to wonder, but am I on the right track? Just be yourself and take courage in what you do. And also an invitation to find other polymaths and to celebrate each other, because as you've seen in the beginning of the presentation, there's famous polymaths that really changed the world. And I think that seed is in every one of us. So a polymath's goal is, our goal as aspiring polymaths is therefore to become the kind of well-rounded and accomplished human beings that can do all these things with a degree of expertise. The name of the game is, and there's three things: development, learning, and mastery. The particular fields we develop ourselves in are almost besides the point. Because besides the point, why? Because it is who you truly are. And nowhere else have I seen so many talented and knowledgeable people than business analysts. I think we by nature are curious. We want to know how stuff works, and we should never stop doing that. We need to keep on going and become polymaths, human beings, and business analysts, and really make those big connections that our world needs right now. So the world needs us, but the most important is that we enjoy the journey. Even if we all have different viewpoints, you're sitting in your own balloon, you're working out your own maps, just enjoy it because this is our time. This is what we are here for. Thank you. Thank you, Marna and Clarissa.
Kotie, thank you so much. That was brilliant. And thank you for encouraging us to just be ourselves and to be fearless. I like that the 3 lessons from, I started typing, but I'll finish typing the lessons later. But yeah, to diversify, to be fearless, and to seek authenticity. You know, I think so often we measure ourselves against other people, and so thank you for encouraging us just to be ourselves. And it's okay to be different. So yeah, and I must say I loved Einstein, that he was playing the violin when he had like a major discovery, and I think, you know, for us it can so easily seem irrelevant to do something different like that. And so thank you for that great example. So I have not seen any questions. There are some positive comments. Thank you, Kotie, for sharing a great presentation. There's I think a few comments like that. So inspired, somebody is saying. So I think that's real positive feedback. Let's just see. I like this. I often have spark ideas on one project while working on another one. And then we have a comment here from Desai. Sometimes our circumstances push us to be polymaths, taking advantage of and maximizing each opportunity to learn and to practice in different domains. Finkley, a really good one. Thanks, Kotie. And so relate with that content. Another thank you to you, Kotie. And then we've got a question from Selwyn. How do you suggest starting on the polymath journey?
Selwyn, I think it's a mindset, and I think a lot of us has heard about the growth mindset. So it's really understanding. And we all have to start somewhere, but the idea is to be intentional about it. So you start at point A, but you intentionally build yourself out to become a polymath. It's something for some of us that has happened naturally. I mean, for me, in my journey as a business analyst and as a human being, I've naturally gravitated towards being a polymath. However, like I also said, you get a lot of critique, and people really don't understand your journey. So I think starting a polymath journey is just starting from where you are and be intentional about your discovery and your learning, and be curious. And also, yeah, I think one of the big things also is allow yourself to change direction, or to 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 uh, branch out. I mean, sometimes you feel like I hear that my students say, I've studied the CA, I am an accountant, and I'm saying, you are a human first, and then you are, one of your domains is being accounting, and but what else is there? So I think just start with the journey.
Yeah, and I think, I was saying to Kotie earlier, I've often heard myself saying, feel like a jack of all trades and master of none. So if you're feeling that way, you might already, we had a good giggle earlier, you might actually already be a polymath. And I think one of the things that you said when you spoke about distilled knowledge is that, to diversify, to be fearless and to seek authenticity. So, don't be scared to learn something new. Then there is another question, Kotie. Perhaps any examples where you may have been able to cross-pollinate areas of expertise?
Yes, so my journey basically started with business studies, and I was always very interested in understanding how technology and humans connect. And that led me to studying into user experience, client experience, understanding how people uses technology. And then I realized, okay, but this is interesting, but I also want to know more about, how can I assist people? So I started to study coaching, a postgrad in coaching, and I really enjoyed that, and it gave me a lot of tool sets and a level of expertise to really be intentional about, how I help people. Coming out of that, I realized, what, there's a lot of, um, we all bring something to our pictures in life. And I started to study theology, so I did an honors in theology. So we are also spiritual beings. So I started studying that, really enjoyed it. And now at this point, I'm really looking forward to starting a master's and studying, how the world is changing and the agility that you require from businesses, and also from people to enable themselves towards the into the fourth revolution. And if you go and you Google fifth and sixth, there's already roadmaps for that as well. So somewhere, and that's also why I did this talk on polymaths, because there's something great here for us as a group to do. We each have that uniqueness to do that. And I think that was my journey, but I think there's also much more to come. There's not really an end into that, because it's the way that you see the world.
Kotie, what I'm hearing is that it's not just about professional development, but it's also about personal development. And then also, the things that sort of catch your attention in your workspace, the things that you maybe have a random question, I wonder how that works or why that is that way. And that you've sort of delved into that space then to go and research that thing.
Yes.
Okay. And, we've got Emilia. She's saying, thank you for presenting tonight. What would you recommend us to study to broaden our skills in terms of architecture and also BI?
As a polymath, I think I'm going to take the easy out on this one, Marna. But what I found is the 10 steps. Do a broad discovery. What I like about, and I will really say, you know, try to read the book from Polymath from Hollins, because you know, your study journey is as personal as unique as what you are. But when you want to study something, I felt I've used the 10 steps very successfully. Do your research. I think listen to people, but use that just as an input. So I don't have specific websites, because I think it's about doing the research, and then I felt that those 10 steps gives you a very good framework to articulate your work, domain that you need to look at.
And I'm just thinking about this question in terms of architecture and BI, because that can be a very broad field. So I'm going to throw a question in here and ask, what role does sort of just your network of people around you play in terms of helping you to increase your diversity of skills?
Mana, yes, that's actually an amazing question, because as a growing polymath, you also grow as part of a team, right? So to surround you with team members that have expertise that you are still building, or maybe that's, I mean, you also have the you know, it's something that you don't really feel passionate about, but you know it's you need that input. Then you know, it's great to have team members that's diverse, that you can work with to help you with that.
Amelia, I don't know, and Larissa, can you maybe unmute Amelia if she's I'm assuming it's I hope I'm correct in saying, does that answer your question or give you something to just to think about?
Amelia had to excuse herself.
Okay,
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, Larissa, do we have time for one or two more questions?
Yes, if the attendees are happy to stick around, and if Kotie is happy to answer.
Yeah. I think, you know, if anybody does need to leave, I have posted information about the book by Hollins and the chat. So if you want to get hold of a copy of that, and then we'll maybe field one or two more questions, if that's okay. And Nesh asked, are polymaths very intuitive?
I'm an intuitive person, so I'm going to say yes. But, so I just, you know, intuitive people are just that curious people that just, you know, yeah, I think they're intuitive. So I was just reading here what Heinrich was saying about, you know, how he's done studies with emotional intelligence and various professional fields. And, you know, I also had that realization when I stumbled upon polymaths, because it explains my journey, which was previously, you know, it didn't really have a way of explaining itself. But then also, oh, and what I also want to say is a field that's very interesting, especially for a polymath, is neuroscience. There's a lot of research coming through on neuroscience, and the way that people works with their environments and things. So I see Heinrich says he studied the emotional intelligence. I would say if business analysts want to, you know, really take that next level, it's understanding how the brain works, and how people work together in groups, stuff like that.
Because I was just wondering, is intuitivity something that you could learn, that you can grow in? Or do you think it's just
that is interesting.
how
so
you are?
I believe that the polymath is a mindset. So I think you can learn it, but you need to be intentional about it. I think you know, sometimes you don't want to give yourself, allow yourself to explore more, because you may be scared you're going to do something wrong, and Polymaths is not about that. It's really about, you know, being humble and going out there and do it.
Yeah, and I think that's something that you've mentioned a few times tonight about being intentional.
Yes.
Okay, and then there's a comment from somebody saying, be yourself, don't conform, just learn. And then I'm going to go to Sir Fast. Thank you, Kotie. Do you sometimes find yourself in between and not being the owner of a project or an initiative and being misunderstood at times due to having a polymath mindset? I think that reaction
Yes.
says a lot.
I think that is the uncomfortable space for a polymath, because and I think there's a question here around corporate environments and working in formal environments where you know, the traditional specialists and SMEs and the roles are playing such a strict role. Yes, a polymath has a challenge in those environments. But for me, it was just another challenge on how I don't fit in, but I connect. Because if everyone is in a block and I am a connector, then that's also the value that I have as a polymath, because I can translate and I can find the middle ground where other roles that's keeping in silos maybe don't have it. So for me, yes, it's uncomfortable and it's not always nice, but that's why I love Polymath's colleagues. So I always connect with them, because then I don't feel so alone.
So it's uncomfortable but worthwhile.
Totally. For value add, it's definitely.
Yeah. And then we have got from Tanya a question: do you believe that formal or corporate working environments have an appreciation for generalists as opposed to more traditional specialists or SMEs? And then there's a dash or a comment there, typically justifying higher pay rate salaries coincide with expertise. So I think that is an interesting and very relevant question,
Yes.
actually.
Yeah.
It sort of speaks to whether, you know, because you're a generalist instead of a specialist, is there a higher appreciation for a specialist perhaps than for a generalist?
So I think that's a difficult one. For me, it's just about you know, what is my brand. Sometimes you will look at a person and say that person is totally fit for this job, and it's not because of his expertise or being an SME in a specific area. It just is like that, and in a polymath, for a polymath, it's a lot like that. You know, it's you know, you just fit in. You know, you adding that extra value. That's something intangible that is difficult sometimes to explain to others, but the teams appreciate that. And I think for me, being bored is worse than death. So I'd rather, you know, discover and try out things than to try and be a specialist and, you know, doing you know, this the T-shaped type person's world. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Donnie's still online and if that's answered his question.
Let me just grab him quickly.
Okay. Donnie, do you want to add any comment or question there?
Yeah, thanks, Mona. I agree, Kotie. I just find that typically in today's world, I mean, I think generally speaking, there is this traditional mindset of how a career should evolve over time. And we as professional business analysts, if you want to up your rate or your salary, you either have to go into management or you have to traditionally become a specialist business analyst So I know that there's a stigma associated with the word SME or specialist, because in a lot of instances in today's world, a specialist cannot just mean one thing. You don't just go deep. You've got to have a broad understanding. But I was just curious about your views around perceptions in the industry, specifically in corporate areas, because I think it's going to change. Everything seems to be changing now. You know, the gig economy, working from home, working digitally, being more flexible. So I think even traditional HR models are going to be challenged severely going forward. And I think it could be a potentially very interesting discussion for us as business analysts who work in the middle of change type products. So yeah, it's fascinating discussion. Thanks.
I totally agree, Donnie. We'll actually love to have that conversation with PAs.
Thank you, Donnie. Kotie, then we have another comment, somebody just saying that interesting that you have said what you've said about neurosciences in researching Peter Hollins's book. Now I came across neurolearning from him as well. Then Anesh, I think before you understand any information, that information is disparate to you until you put on your discovery hat and use your curiosity to make sense of the information. Intuition plays an important role there. Okay. Not sure if you want to add anything to that.
Good insight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that's a good insight. Thanks, Anish.
Okay, and then from Matthew, do you believe that there may be potential pitfalls that people need to be mindful of when embracing the polymath mindset? For example, being able to think of a great solution to one problem while working on another, but risking a dip in velocity due to constant context switching.
Yeah, so I think the connections that you make happens when you're not working. It's when you're playing your violin, so to speak. So it's what people talk about in the shower moment, or the but so it's not about multitasking where you switch context all the time. It's those unconscious connections that your brain makes, because you allow your brain to entertain all these different domains of learning. And that is, so you're building learning pathways, and then it's the connection that you allow then that happen after. So it's really not, trying to do 3 projects at once, multitasking or that type of thing. It's really just about learning and developing in different domains.
Matthew, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's perfect. It's just really interesting because I feel like there's a lot of elements to this polymath mindset that I connect with as well, but I also have to be mindful that as many positives as there is to it, with being able to draw from seemingly unrelated experiences and knowledge, there is also some potential risks to maybe going down a rabbit hole or hyper focusing on something that might not be super important. Or so yeah, I was just wondering if there was any potential issues that you could see, or any maybe sort of tips and tricks to navigate around that.
Matthew, yeah, I think it's actually a very important point you're touching on. I think one of the things is you need to stack your skills strategically. So that implies that you don't, let's use the word flit around like a butterfly, and you just keep it to a very shallow level. You strategically build your learning plans in that 10 steps to be able to gain the expertise to be at least the best between the 5 and 15%, like we said. So you are, it's actually hard work, but you are building something very intentionally. And looking at the 4th industrial revolution and where the where everything is going, and especially for us as business analysts, it's very important to be aware, to be context aware, and to be strategic about our own learning and what we learn and how we learn. But I think the trap that people fell in is they just focus on, like I'm a business analyst. You need to think about yourself as a person that's unique first, and then build from there. Because the soft things is just as important as the hard things, if you can call it that.
Great, thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you, Kotie. I think we have covered all the questions. We really appreciate your time and insight, and that you took the time to answer everybody's questions. Also, thank you to the attendees. And, you know, for you, the ones who have stuck it out right until the end, I think it's been worthwhile. So we will close out this meeting now. Like I said, thank you for attending. The presentation will be uploaded to the IIBA SA YouTube page. I posted the link earlier also, and then you will find also that I'll post all these links again. To become a member of the IIBA, you can go to iibasa.wildapricot.org. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you at any future events. And Kotie, we'll close out with a big thank you to you again. Thank you for encouraging us to be ourselves, to be intentional about our learning. And I think that we can look forward to more polymaths that you might meet in the passages. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Kotie.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.